The mannequins in Energy and Barbecue are some of the creepiest, yet the most interesting things we see in the game. They're just there, scattered around, not doing much. But that's exactly what makes them so unnerving. It's easy to brush them off as background characters, but once you start to notice them, it's hard to stop asking, what are these things really doing here? From the very beginning, the mannequins are placed in ways that feel deliberate. They show up in otherwise empty or still environments, sometimes alone, sometimes in groups. And while some are vaguely humanoid, others are abstract. But they all share the same grey, faceless expression. They all look similar and act the same way, which makes things feel strangely tense. It's like they shouldn't matter, but the more you see them, the harder they are to ignore. When we're actually given the opportunity to meet the mannequins face to face in Energy and Barbecue, they simply don't react. They hang in this strange limbo between being objects and being something else. Most of the time, they're completely still. You'll walk past one and it won't do anything. You'll stand right next to it, staring into its blank, beautiful face, and get absolutely nothing in return. But then, every now and then, one of them will move, which could imply they still have some life left inside of them. Some mannequins are caught mid-pose, as if frozen during a task or performance, and their limbs are locked in these unnatural puppet-like stances. Others sway gently in place, like they're trying to remember how to move. And then there are ones that seem to have full control over their bodies. In fact, when you first enter the uncanny streets, you might even spot one facing straight through a building, defying logic, space, and possibly the developer's intentions. What makes these mannequins really effective is that the game never acknowledges them, not even once. There's no quote-unquote mannequin lore dump, no character that says, oh yeah, watch out for those things. They're just part of the world, always on the edge of your awareness. The tension they create isn't about jump scares or sudden danger, it's about presence. They're always present. Sometimes they're already standing in a space before our playable ENA has had a chance to show up. Like they've been waiting, watching, or maybe they've always been there, like part of the scenery that nobody talks about. And that's what makes them feel so eerie. They don't feel like background filler, they feel like something that belongs to this world in a way we don't fully understand yet. This eerie presence isn't limited to Dream Barbecue either. If you look closely, traces of these mannequin-like figures have been quietly lurking in the ENA universe from the very beginning, making their first appearance in the Temptation Stairway animation. Do you remember how I said the game doesn't acknowledge them? Well, it's different in the web series, as Moni directly acknowledges their existence.
Look, there are already some people here. What idiots. Luckily, not many more will be showing up.
What's interesting is that Moni is the only character who seems to notice them at all. No one else in the series seems to recognize or care. She doesn't refer to them as mannequins either. Moni instead calls them people, which adds a whole new layer to the way we see them. It could even imply that these figures might not be props or decorations, but something with a past. Something or someone that used to be alive, each with their own unique goals and struggles. Whether Moni understands something no one else does, or simply interpreting things in her own strange way, the result is the same. She's the only one that treats them like they matter. And that makes her silence feel even heavier. If these mannequins really are people, then maybe they're just not eerie, they're tragic. In the very same episode, we even catch a glimpse of what might drive them, as some mannequins can be seen desperately climbing the Great Ruinous, a towering, wish-granting god. They aren't just standing around anymore, they're moving, reaching, trying. It doesn't feel random, it feels like a genuine goal, like they still have something left to wish for. Maybe they want to be whole again, or perhaps they want to be freed from whatever they've become. Whatever the case, it suggests that these aren't just lost figures in the background, they're still hoping for something. So, who are the mannequins really? If we take Moni at her word, then maybe these aren't just props at all, they're living people. Or at least, they used to be. That opens the door to a lot of eerie possibilities. Are they unfinished characters, glitch out avatars, or could they even be the broken remains of something the world has forgotten? But that's not to say that all the mannequins are without purpose, as we haven't discussed a special case that appears in Temptation Stairway. As ENA chases after the Great Ruinous, she meets a mannequin wearing a bright blue dress, black hair, and what appears to be an egg on her face. This is the only mannequin we've seen with a distinct look and presence. When ENA gets closer, her vision begins to swirl, and she's transported to a different place entirely. This particular mannequin actually connects to something Rowan404 talked about in a recent video. At first glance, it might seem like an insignificant background character, but Rowan404's video suggests that this figure is far more than a random presence. It might be the representation of the Divine Door. And it makes sense when you think about it. In the ENA series, The most important doors, like the Lonely Door, the Maze Door, and the door we see in Power Potluck, all share this distinct blue colour. The mannequin in Temptation Stairway also wears the same shade of blue on her dress, which could imply that she might actually be the Divine Door itself. This theory is further supported by what happens immediately after. When ENA meets Ulysses, he tells ENA that the Divine Door is fully closed now, right after her interaction with the mannequin.
Unfortunate for you, the Divine Door is fully closed now. No!
And if we revisit the mannequin after ENA teleports away, the delicious egg that once covered her face is now missing. That visual shift might symbolise the door being shut, leaving only a void. So if the mannequins are connected to doors, that gives them a whole new sense of identity. Instead of being static figures in the background, they might actually be acting as gateways, or moments of change that can happen when she interacts with them. This fits with how Dream Barbecue seems to play with the idea of transitions, like moving between different spaces or realities. Thinking about them this way makes them feel a lot more important. They could even be part of something bigger, like guiding ENA through different parts of her journey. Which brings me to my next point, the mannequin's form. Because I don't think this grey, lifeless form we see is the only form they can take. There's already reason to question it because Mooney refers to them as people instead of mannequins.
Look, there are already some people here. What idiots.
If we follow the idea that the mannequins are guides for ENA, it's important to consider the people she meets in Dream Barbecue, especially after she's been devoured in the normal or purge route. These silent figures we meet direct ENA toward the bathroom, quietly steering her on the right track. But here's where it gets interesting. Just like the mannequins, these people hardly move. They don't speak, and their body proportions are almost identical to ENA's. They don't just resemble the mannequins, they are the mannequins. When the world shifts and ENA passes through a liminal threshold, so do they. Their physical form may shift between spaces, but their shared purpose remains the same, to guide ENA. Their close resemblance to ENA might not be a coincidence either. These mannequins might be more than just guides. They could be alternate versions of ENA herself, maybe past selves or scrap timelines. Their silence could represent the lives ENA didn't lead, or futures where she didn't achieve her goal. This theory becomes even harder to ignore when you consider Dream Barbecue's ending, where ENA reveals she was a mannequin after failing to escape. If that isn't enough to convince you, when the player dies in-game, a mannequin's broken remains are left behind at the same spot. I mean, even the original ENA from the web series glitters into a mannequin-like form at one point. All of these details point toward a deeper truth, that ENA and the mannequins might not just be connected, they are also the same. But does that mean that all the mannequins are ENA? No. Given how many we see throughout the series, it's hard to believe they're all just different versions of ENA. They show up in almost every area she explores, dozens of them standing silently in the background, long before she interacts with any of them. Some appear in places ENA hasn't reached yet, while others seem to exist completely separate from her, acting on their own or simply watching. And then there's Mooney, who doesn't refer to them as fragments or parts of ENA, but as people. That word alone implies they have identity, awareness. Maybe not in a human sense, but something close enough. That's where ENA's connection with them takes a darker turn. When ENA dies, the game doesn't show her fading away or collapsing. Instead, a mannequin shatters where she stood, one of the many same figures we've seen throughout the game. Then she returns, seemingly unharmed, as if nothing happened. But what if something did? What if that mannequin wasn't just a shell or stand-in, but a being of his own? It starts to feel less like resurrection and more like replacement, as if ENA is jumping from one mannequin to another, using them as temporary shells, bodies to wear, bodies to discard. And if all the mannequins are, in fact, sentient beings with their own desires and free will, like when they're seen desperately climbing the Great Ruinous, then ENA's actions become even more troubling. She isn't just surviving, she's taken over. She's body snatching her way through a world of silent vessels, with each one being sacrificed so ENA herself can continue. Even when Froggy and Count Dracula witness this, they don't seem to care at all. This lack of reaction suggests that in ENA's world, body snatching has become normalized. It's as if the mannequins aren't seen as real beings, but just tools for ENA's survival. This would in return also explain why the mannequins are never once acknowledged in the game, as no one seems to recognize them as having personal lives, autonomy, or to put it simply, value. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I believe ENA might be way darker than we realize. There's even a part in the Dream Barbecue trailer where we can see the mannequins being harvested for a special purpose, and possibly the aftermath of that too. It's not just about body snatching anymore, it's about exploiting these beings, taking their forms, and use them without a second thought. It's almost like ENA's survival is built on the suffering of others, and that only begs the question of how far she's willing to go.